All right. So first, are you recording yet?
I am recording now.
You're recording now. Great. All right. First off, I have a bone to pick with you, sir.
Me?
Yes, you. Because we're ripping it right off.
I know where this is going.
More Christmas. So you posted your I'm reviewing every Christmas movie. It's a tier list thing on Instagram. And I shared it and I was like, yeah, this is the one I'm pumped for today. I'm going to watch it while I wrap presents. And I went to your YouTube and it wasn't there.
It's there.
Odie.
It's there.
You pranked us. No.
Gotcha.
I was like, they got us just as bad as Ashton Kutcher would back in the day.
You got pranked.
You're a merry prankster. Was that intentional? Was it just not supposed to be there? Because I even clicked on your videos and it was just not there. It was like most recent videos and it was whatever other tier list you had done recently. And I was like,
yeah. I just wanted to know what it would be like to be Krampus and steal all that joy from people. And since
you stole so much joy, I was deflated for a whole 2 seconds. You know how that's an eternity for me.
That's a long time for you.
That's a long time for me. I'm normally like, I'm riding high all the time. Turn it up to 11. Let's go. And it was Christmas Eve day. I was wrapping gifts. I was in the mood. 2 seconds of downtime happened. And then I was back up because I was like, whatever. I'll find something. I also, I want to ask a question. Because I did not get to watch the tier list, and I don't know if you remember, so you don't have to have a solid answer. But if you don't have an answer from memory, I want you to give me the answer right now because I know where it sits for me.
Okay.
Where on that list falls the classic Christmas rom-com that's unintentionally a Christmas rom-com, Just Friends, starring Ryan Reynolds and Amy Smart and Anna Faris? Where is that, huh?
Okay, well...
Where are we at?
So first, Kevin, you got to understand that this tier list is not based on quality of movie. It's based on how much Christmas cheer it brings to us, the viewer.
There's a ton of Christmas cheer in it. Go.
So aggressive. I would probably put it... big old lump of coal.
What?
Yeah.
Merry Krampus indeed. You know, I don't even want to record today.
Okay, bye.
This is... Why would you do that to me on Christmas? Oh, Odie's gone now. Actually gone.
Oh, did you actually want to keep recording?
Oh, no, he's back! All right. Clap. Christmas clap. Christmas clap. 1, 2, 3. All right. We did it. Perfect. On time.
That was the fastest countdown. Like, oh, shit.
I gave you the tempo. It was like playing Mega Man, right? Like you start up the game of Mega Man and they don't like fully explain the rules. They're just like, here's a couple techniques you can use to get through this level. And then that's like the theme of the level until you get good enough that you can use all the techniques, right?
Yeah. This mic picks up everything.
All right. Merry Christmas, Odie. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. No, Hanukkah's over, baby. It's done. It was earlier this year.
Well, I just wanted to say it anyway.
You missed it.
Yeah, we did it.
You missed
your
opportunity to say Happy Hanukkah to me. There were 8 days of opportunity.
I did the 8 days. I married
I didn't
Jewish
even know.
family.
I didn't know. Well, you didn't say it to me.
Yeah, they celebrate Hanukkah. Well, because you're not Jewish.
No.
Are you Jewish?
But I love latkes. I would. I'll tell you what. If anybody of Jewish faith is looking to convert, invite me to a holiday party with really good latkes. I'm in for at least the night. For at least the night.
That's all it takes.
You know, me and Yahweh, we're gonna get down for a while. If you got good latkes,
that's how you.
And you got 8 days worth of time and presents, I'm there, baby.
That's how you buy Kevin's support with religion.
Dude,
be
the
like, "What kind of
Amish
food
could
do you
get me
offer
to
with
erect
your
a
religion?"
barn with the right stipend. You know, like this is that's just where I'm at.
And,
Like,
and Christians are over here with like shots of grape juice and stale crackers. Get the shit out of here.
I'm like, did you say grapes? I'm in. I'm pretty simple. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
All
fair.
right, Odie,
I love
you know,
that.
we've come together on this magical Christmas morn, to celebrate
It is Christmas,
a
as of
special
recording.
occasion, and that was that you and I both watched a Zack Snyder film that we hate collectively.
Oh, is that what we're talking? Are we starting right off the rip with Rebel Moon?
Let's just get into it. It's fresh in my head. I was
just
thinking
do
about
this.
it yesterday. I was thinking about it the day before, which doesn't make it a good film. Some people on social media would argue that because you're thinking about it, it's a success. And I would say, you know, sometimes I think about bad things. And those aren't necessarily successful because of that. But it's because I don't have 100% pilot's control of this brain. There's a co-pilot that sometimes just veers us into a direction that I didn't think was going to happen. You've got that, right? Yeah, okay, exactly. Yeah. And sometimes that co-pilot might be diagnosable as ADHD. Who knows? But okay.
Okay, so I want to talk about Rebel Moon.
Yeah.
Like I have things
oh my
to
God.
say.
Wait, hold on. We missed the intro.
Well, okay, so I was going to ask you because I want to clip the Rebel Moon segment. So do you want to just jump back after the
video
clap,
of
do the
us
intro?
doing this?
No, so what I'm going to do is I was going to say, let's do the intro, and then I'll introduce the Rebel Moon, like what I want to talk about, so I can make it work for the YouTube video. And then this is just going to be like 10 minutes, and I'm just going to put clips of the movie and funny memes and jokes and kind of like how other
That's
video
beautiful.
channels
You
edit
know
it.
what we're going to do? We're going to do a shorter intro segment to the podcast. People get a double intro. Merry Christmas. You're welcome. It's a Christmas gift to you. I'm even going to figure out how to speed it up. So, ready? And ba 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 prum prum pa 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 pa. I'm not even going to play the music anymore.
Why are you doing that?
All right, let's clap. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Welcome back to another episode of the Unpop Podcast. I am your Capitan Todo Siempre, Capitan Kevin Minor. Him. With me as always is...
Odie Matthews, the chef, cooking up
Yes!
content. They, them.
All right, let's get into it. Rebel Moon.
Okay. Okay, so Kevin, I asked you to watch a movie that we both unanimously loved.
So much.
And that was
okay,
Rebel Moon.
I want everyone to understand the full context of this. You texted me, believably so, that it was an amazing movie, right? And you and I don't always agree on movies, and we've come to we love that we don't always agree. And so I was like, all right, and you were hyping it up, like you were texting me. You're like, oh my God, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen. I can't believe it. They pulled it off. And I was sitting there, and I was like, oh, okay. And I texted you back, and I was. Because I very, very much so, regardless of whether or not we agree on a movie, I value your opinion. So for me, I just texted back very politely, like, please don't overhype it. I want to go in unbiased. Like, I was just like, and you kept it up for a whole day, like knowing that I wasn't going to get to it till the next day. You kept it up for a whole day. And then finally, I forget, you said something, and I responded with like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. And you're like, I can't keep this up. It's horrible, Kevin. It's horrible. Like, and I was like, I honestly, I was happy that you did that, but at the same time, I was like, man, that would have been an amazing bit if Odie had actually pranked me by like getting me to believe that they loved this movie all the way till I was done with it. Because if you had stuck to that, I would have messaged you immediately, like it probably in the first scene of the movie, and been like, Odie, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like.
So I said this to you, but I was like, the reason I decided to tell you that I thought it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and definitely the worst movie this year, was because I was like, if Kevin believes that this is the kind of movies I actually like, I will not forgive myself.
Yeah.
Like if you actually
I think
believed
it's
I liked
funny
it.
that like this movie was so bad that the threat of that in your head was real. Like you're like, I don't even know if I could prank Kevin with this. He might just hate me forever. Like he might just think that my taste is bad. Which I think I would have gotten it by like halfway through. I would have been like, oh, Odie was joking.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Right. So okay.
Well, let's
get into it.
Let's talk about this movie real quick. I don't think there's really much to say when it comes to the plot because, in my opinion, it's not really there.
Not at all. Remember I said The Boy and the Heron was confusing but a beautiful movie, and I loved watching it, and I'm still thinking about it anyway? This movie was confusing, and it was also a giant piece of shit, and I hated watching it, but I'm forced to still think about it anyway.
Yeah, after this, we got to purge it from our brains.
I can't. This is, and here's why I can't. There's a high bar, right? There's a high bar for cinema, and there's a low bar. And the low bar has just been renamed. Rebel Moon, I dub thee. All right, go.
So here's the thing about Rebel Moon. I've seen a lot of people defending it online.
Of course.
Like Zack Snyder bro fans. And the thing is, like, some of the movie is really beautiful. Some of it. But a lot of it looks like it was green screen shot in Zack Snyder's front yard like he did Justice League.
There were a couple shots. There were
a lot of it.
I remember texting you a couple times and being like, okay, this scene is good. Like, and being like, this one was done well. But it's a 2-hour fucking movie, and there's apparently a 3.5-hour version coming out. And, like, I would say, I probably texted you twice saying, like, oh, this was good. You know, like, I like this part. And out of a 2-hour movie and apparently a 3.5-hour director's cut, I hope there's more scenes. Because here, I'm going to watch the director's cut. I hope there's more scenes where I'm like, okay, this was good. This should have made the cut.
You're going to do that?
Because he's not the worst director, right? And maybe that's what ends up being so frustrating about it is you have someone who is not the worst caliber director. You have a budget that is definitely not the worst caliber budget. You have a cast that is definitely not the worst caliber cast. Yet somehow all of these factors have come together and made just a giant, stinky, bad-flavored gumbo of cinema.
Yeah, I think so. My opinion, this cut of the movie that we saw, it feels like Zack Snyder wrote this movie and full spoilers, not like it fucking matters, but it feels like he was like, how cool would it be if like a Native American character jumped on a griffin off of a cliff? How cool would it be if they met a guy who had a spaceship and he was really secretly evil? How cool would it be if the Nazi guy had all these like weird tentacles that like, it feels like he just came up with like really short ideas and was like, okay, so now how can I weave all of these together? Because I feel like this movie gave me whiplash because for one, nothing happens in the first 40 minutes. This movie gave you whiplash and
not like the good movie Whiplash.
Not with
All right, keep going.
Not with Miles Teller. But yeah, so like for me, when I was watching it and like it opens up so slow with like her like plowing the field and then there's like the village and you even point out like nobody like what is this village like what is this village supposed to be because it's got like Gaelic roots and like
Gaelic music, a guy doing the most forced Norse accent I've ever heard. Like so
that's Corey
I
Stoll
love him
too, by the way,
as an act. And this is what going back to what I was saying. Everyone in this movie has done something I love. Like, it's just like...
Yeah, dude, I really love Charlie Hunnam.
Just imagine if, like, all of the... Like, it's like going to, like, Broadway and they have the best cast ever for a show and, like, the show just bombs, right? Like, you're just like... It's how did this happen? Who let this? Why did we get through all the steps? Because there's editors. There's so many people that work on things like this, and then it's like, why? How? Yeah. So you've got this. Let's go back to the beginning. First off, you and I had the first thought. Let's go through this movie piece by piece. Spoiler alert for a horrible movie here. Okay. So
I already said
you
that.
did that. Oh, whatever. Okay.
Because it doesn't matter. There's nothing to spoil in this movie.
Up and right off the rip, I text you. I go, those planets are too close together. Like immediately, I was just like, and like, it's a sci-fi movie, right? And he's leaning into more of a hard sci-fi edge. at least especially in the beginning, right? Like there's kind of like mentions of like kings and emperors and assassins and stuff like that. And so you're like, all right, this is like sci-fi fantasy, maybe. I don't know. But then it opens up and like this planet or whatever moon that they're on that has well, here's
The rebel
thing.
moon.
If it's on a moon, it has an atmosphere because they're outside without fucking helmets on. And also, like, the gravity's normal because they're walking around without special tech, which means that the gravitational equation that goes into place is normal and that this is a planet, not a moon, because they're outside without fucking helmets on and they're farming, okay? So it's not a moon. First off, it's a habitable planet or even a dwarf planet, whatever the fuck, but it's next to a giant Saturn-like planet and it is way too close. If you know anything about physics and you know that this is sci-fi and you want it to be believable at all, ignore the first scene. Just ignore it right off the rip.
So you made me think. Okay. One of the things that bothers me about the comparison with this movie is I was excited because this was, in Zack Snyder's words, like his Star Wars story that he wanted to tell. And as somebody who loves Star Wars, I was like, okay, like, let's see. You know, you never know. This is the furthest thing from Star Wars I've ever fucking seen in terms of science fiction. And here's why. You had a good point with the planets, and it made me realize, okay, but like you can make the argument that in any other like science fiction world, Star Trek, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, like they go to these other planets and like they can breathe the air. So like how come humans can breathe the air, right?
No,
but like
Star Trek is actually probably the best at that. Star Trek is the most sciencey, right? Like Star Trek is probably leans into the actual laws of physics the most. But yeah, okay.
So like with Star Wars, like when George Lucas was crafting this universe, he wanted a universe that felt lived in, and he filmed in a variety of locations on Earth, but made those locations feel like another planet. Yes. And I'm not saying that like every science fiction story has to do this, but like it's very believable when you see somebody like Han Solo interacting with like this green guy in a bar with all these weird aliens in the background singing music. You don't need to know about that. You just know this guy's here and this guy's here, and like. But with Rebel Moon, every time they went to a new planet, every time they picked up a new person, it's just like, it just felt like nothing.
It felt like the planets
I don't even know how to explain it.
Just wallpaper.
It felt like a rotating green screen. The actors stood there and they're like, okay, now we're going to go pick up Damon Hudson's character. Hold on. And the green screen just rotated to this like temple. And they were like, okay, bring him in, lay him right there, and action. Like, that's just what it felt like. None of this felt real, in my opinion.
Like, and this is something that I think happens more now than ever, but it's because we're producing so much media and so much stuff gets like hype or, you know, some level of attention that draws your eye to it. But like, there's a lot of things that happen in this movie and a lot of backdrops that exist in this movie that just have no purpose, right? Other than like, I mean, thematically maybe, but then also like, there are some that like, the lens filter that they or whatever it is, you know, like the filter that they use on it, the way that they do the lighting and the coloring is like the same. Like in the beginning, and another big problem, I was like, wait, is this a flashback? Because the lighting is exactly the fucking same. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, I want to talk about the flashbacks. Let's see, who is the cinematographer?
I have no idea. But okay.
Oh my
Before you even
God.
get into the cinematographer. Okay.
No. I'm not even gonna. I don't even want to get into it because guess who the director of photography is for this movie? Zack Snyder.
Yeah, okay, great. So, costumes fail across the board. Like in my mind, the costumes were. There's. I get where people are defending this movie, and especially people who maybe haven't been like. Imagine. You're a Zack Snyder fan, and you love just the way that he shoots things, and you love the slow-mo and the emphasis on the action that he puts, and just, like, his style is for you. Like, imagine that. And then he makes his first sci-fi, like, real sci-fi movie, and you're locked in, right? And so this is your introduction to sci-fi. I get where an immature, like a new inductee into sci-fi might love this and defend it. I get it, okay? So I'm just going to table that and just say... That's been said. Let's leave it where it is. I get that some people will defend this movie. This is a horrible sci-fi film, and all of the costume design. I was texting you the whole time. I'm like, one, the naming mechanisms are fucking stupid. You could have named these people anything, and you just pick historical names that are literally like nail on the head theming for how this person's going to be and how they behave in the world. No, that's some young adult
Speaking
shit,
of names,
right? Like that's a 13 plus novella type naming mechanism. I'm not in here for that. You sold us Star Wars with blackjack and hookers. You have better naming mechanisms, right? Mon Mothma?
Do you remember any of the names?
Yeah, Belisarius, because it's fucking overused.
Okay, besides that one.
Den, I remember.
Besides
Den.
the Warhammer name. Who was Den?
No, I said I remembered it. I didn't say I. And then there's Titus.
Wasn't
General Titus. But even that, like
okay, I do
that
remember
one
Titus.
too. I'm like, dude, why are we just like nail on the head human Earth historying this thing? You could have done anything. You could have made up your own language. He really, like, with the budget that he had and shit like that, he should have made up his own language. They should have put more into the costume design because everything looked like it was basically like bad Warhammer. I remember I kept saying that to you. I'm like, these guys are just like the space Nazis are just the commissars. That's what they are. They're dressed like commissars. That's what they look like. That's it. And then the Space Cabal actually looked like another thing from like the weird priest guys. They looked like another thing from Warhammer. I forget. But like as I'm watching this, I'm like, there's so many things where I'm like, this is just Zack Snyder's. Like, it's like he took Star Wars and Warhammer and he was like, I don't really know which one I want to do, and then just kind of threw them together.
I'm gonna speed run this real quick. The plot. I just want to speed run the plot because I feel like everything we're touching on. Let's just set the stone of like why this whole movie makes no fucking sense. Yeah, this is the
we gave an overview of why it's bad. Now
I'm gonna speed run what I remember. Now, I will say this movie luckily was kind of purged from my brain because I watched 10 other really bad movies back to back. So I don't remember everything.
Can I give you my number one complaint before we speed run the plot? And I gave it to you while I was watching the film. They go to another planet, presumably maybe in another star system, maybe same galaxy, but another star system, right? And the guy uses the same fucking metric to tell time that they used on the stupid planet Moon. He goes, well, he's been here for about a season. And it's like, why the fuck did you say seasons? What does that mean? Seasons are different for things. Seasons are different even on Earth. Growing seasons, different actual like climatology seasons, like all of these things are fucking different, and you decided to just say seasons like we were just gonna accept. I'm not stupid, and this movie, I feel like this movie treats its viewers like they're stupid, and I didn't like that. All right.
I agree. I will say real quick, in terms of Zack Snyder work that I like, and I'm in the minority here, I like Army of the Dead with Dave Bautista. It's fun. I like Sucker Punch. I like 300. And I'll be honest, I like Zack Snyder's Justice League cut. I do not like Man of Steel. I do not like Batman v Superman. I don't like any of the other ones he's done. I like Watchmen. I think
I only like Watchmen and Sucker Punch.
Fair. Okay, speed running this plot. So to my understanding, this whole thing is there's a place called the Motherland, and the king and queen were assassinated. And because the king and queen were assassinated, and also their daughter, some other politician was just able to be like, well, I'm in charge now, and I'm evil? But, like, this is the one complaint that I have. Like, not the one. This is one of many complaints I have. Okay. The Motherland was bad before the king and queen were assassinated because they were taking over planets. But then the movie makes you think that them being assassinated and this new guy coming in is really what is bad. But, like, people were already starting to rebel before the king and queen were assassinated. But this movie paints them like they weren't bad people. But the movie wants to remind you at every chance it gets that the Motherland is bad people. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
And also,
don't think about it too hard.
Calling it the Motherworld the whole time just pissed me off.
Oh, Motherworld.
It just pissed me off. Bad naming mechanisms. Keep going.
Well, I mean, the main ship in this is called the King's Gaze because the king died, and that's they're looking down. Or, anyways, so she's on a planet where they grow stuff, and
they never say what, huh? They just grow stuff. They're just farmers. There's no like actual picture.
Farmers.
Like they're just planting
crops.
Yeah, they don't show their grain store. Like, what the fuck?
And so she like I mean, nothing happens. Like that's the first 30 minutes. You learn those two things. Like that's the first 30 minutes of the movie,
space
and then
Nazis show up and they're bad because they
then
kill people and sexually assault everyone.
Yeah, space Nazis show up, and I do like Ed Skrein, who was the villain in the first Deadpool. I think he does a good job playing the Nazi.
He's so good.
Yeah, his
Once
haircut's
again,
stupid.
Great
but he's
actors,
good.
bad movie. Keep going.
So they arrive, and the main character's name, who I'm just gonna call Rebel because I don't remember her name. So Rebel, do you remember her name?
Oh no, it's gonna kill
She's the
me.
child of
It's like,
fire or star. Coy. No, wait. That was Charlie Hunnam. Anyways, Rebel. We're calling her Rebel.
Rebel.
So
Rebel lady.
Rebel. So this giant ship, like think Star Destroyer appears, and everyone's just like, "Oh, cool ship! Wow, look at that!" And she's like, "Oh my god!" Ah! And she starts freaking out, and everyone else is just like, "Oh my god!" And like, the Nazis show up, and basically they're like, "Hey, you're gonna give us food, or we're gonna kill you." But like that whole interaction that takes probably like 15 minutes of them just like walking around being like, "Oh, look at you, you're the leader of the farm."
Yeah.
Okay. They know who the mother world is. They know that the mother world is bad because they even admit that the one guy sold grain to the people fighting against the mother world.
Blood axe.
So when fucking Jesus. So when
I remember that part.
It's a dumb fucking
I remembered the blood axe.
So like when the evil people show up, how come nobody is like, "Oh, these are evil"? Everyone's just like, "Well, like we'll just be nice to them and they'll be nice to us." And then they murder the chief village guy, and then she's like, "Well, I'm just gonna run." And then this old guy's like, "Don't run." And she's like, "You know what? You're right. I won't run." And then the rest of the movie until the end is just her
running, going
planet to planet, doing fetch quests to find other people to help. But like the dumbest part about this movie is the main plot is she has 12 weeks, which did you notice that they went over to weeks when they was like, it takes us like 13 weeks to get the grain for the Nazi guy, and he's like, "Well, I'll be back in 13 weeks or whatever." So they have seasons and weeks.
I did not notice that.
So
I'm so glad I didn't because I probably would have just turned it off. I would have been like, "Nope, I don't understand any of your science or your systems, and your naming mechanisms are dumb. Let's get out of here."
The whole plot is set up as she needs to go find an army to defend her village against the evil army.
7 samurai. Okay.
But the thing is, it's literally Magnificent Seven, it's Seven Samurai, it's Suicide Squad, it's all of that. And like
we need a ragtag team to get together to fight these guys. Yeah.
She gets what, like 5? She gets the general, the sword lady, the pilot, the Native American guy that can fly a griffin. And
let's go with how they really went with it. She gets the black guy, the Native American guy, the Asian lady. And
they play music.
The fucking music cues. Oh, the Native American guy's here. Let's play Enya now. Oh, we're on the mech world where the Asian lady is. Let's play Eastern music. Like, oh, fucking, that pissed me off so bad. Like, he didn't even give the planets their own themes musically. He just gave us, like, culturally what we would expect based on the face we were seeing, which is not overt racism, but is stupid.
Yeah, I agree. And after gathering all of these random people, including a guy who used to be a general for the Mother World,
Titus.
And, like, everyone hates him, even though he was, like,
nobody likes him.
A legend.
He was a gladiator.
And then
he's from Africa. Anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. And then basically, like, they find the rebels, and then they get the rebels to join them, and then they go to a planet because Charlie Hunneman's like, "Hey guys, I gotta deliver this stuff, and then we'll go defend." Just kidding, I'm bad. Everyone saw it coming. Here we go. And then he dies, and they kill the space Nazi, and they go back to their village, and all is well. But like, obviously not, and that's the lamest terms. But like, the problem with this movie is, and this was my biggest complaint the entire time, is you watched it in 2 sittings. I forced myself to watch it in 1.
I had to watch it in 2 sittings. I didn't have enough time.
Yeah, which you're lucky. But like, what I hated the most about this movie is there's only 2 ways you learn about characters, either through really long and really boring flashbacks that honestly tell us nothing, or other people telling you about the
Oh my
person.
God,
Like when
yeah.
they meet the Native American guy, Charlie Hunnam is telling them, "Oh, this guy's done this and he's done this and he's done this," and then we get no character development for not even the main like. All I know about Rebel, the main character, is that she used to work for the Mother World. I think she's the assassin that killed the king and queen, which I don't know if that makes any
No,
sense
because
because
the
she was
king
also
is
on the
because
daughter
then
detail.
okay, we already did spoilers. Because then at the end, the king's like in some weird pocket dimension, and he's like, "That's my
That's
daughter."
not the king. That was Belericis or
Whatever
whatever.
his name is, the guy who's the current ruler. He's like out in fucking weird Iceland.
Oh no, that's just like that's like their FaceTime.
Whatever it is, he's just jabbing the ice with his scepter and going, "That's my daughter, and I need to kill her now." So fucking dumb.
Yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah, because Belericis rescued
Yeah, hold on.
Rebel.
Okay,
But I'm saying
okay.
that I think she killed the king
Okay,
and queen.
bring it back. So
Doesn't
bring it back. So we're on. I'm gonna jump back into the speed run. So we're on the stupid rebel moon. Nazis show up. The guy's like, "What do they want?" And she's like, "Everything." And it's like, "Oh wow,
Oh my
what a
God.
stupid fucking line." And then they even bring the line back later because it turns out, "Oh, what are the Nazis here to take?" "Oh, everything, I guess." Because then the guy's like, "What do you want?" And he's like, "Everything." And it's like, "Fuck off." But like, so the
Shut up.
Nazis kill the leader of the village, and then it turns out, oh, they're bad. And then they've got these robots that apparently stopped fighting when their king died. But then this girl puts and this was one of the scenes that I liked. I remember I was like, okay, this
like this
scene,
scene.
the little bottle scene with the girl talking to the robot who's voiced by Anthony Hopkins, and she's like, "I think that you're everything that you need to be, and like, here's a crown of flowers."
Daisies.
Yes, that part, fucking amazing. I was like, this
I did
should
like
be
that.
a whole movie. I was like, this
That
story
gave me
right
hope
here
for
should
a
be the
minute.
movie. Because
Honestly,
all
yeah.
of a sudden, like for the first moment in the entire movie, we're like 15, 20 minutes in, I finally actually like feel something for a character, right? And I'm like, oh, there's development that can happen here. Every other character is just like, this is who I am, and we're gonna go do a thing. Like, these ones, I'm like, oh, these two characters could actually learn something from each other. They could have a dynamic event. Anyway, so like,
Oh, plus that girl though. Well, hold on, because that girl, like, I thought she was gonna be more important because she's the victim of the soldiers.
I thought so too. And they even
And then,
show her in
yeah.
the beginning. They do a close up on her face and everything. I was like, oh, this is the child of fire. All right, rock on.
That's what I
But it
thought,
wasn't.
dude.
But it wasn't. So maybe it will be in the second
me
or
angry.
third, and if it is, then too late. You haven't. They're just doing a bad job. So anyway, then bad stuff happens with Nazis. They end up fighting them, and then she goes to leave, and the guy she's been staying with, like, all pulls out of nowhere, is like, "Here's a gun for you," and she's like, "I thought that was destroyed in the crash," and you're like, "What the
What
fuck
crash?
are you talking about?" And he's like, "It wasn't, and here's your gun. Good luck. Go get the magnificent, 7 different people to help us defend ourselves from the mother world. Good luck." And then she flies off with fucking humble farmer man who apparently
Yeah.
was banging some chick the night before. Who knows? Like, who cares? So
Well, also the humble farmer man is the reason that the leader of the village was
yeah,
fucking
because he's
killed.
stupid. So
And
his
then we just, like,
character
brush over
development
that.
over the entire movie is I get less stupid, but like,
Well, he killed somebody at the
Yes.
end, so he got somebody killed, and then he killed
Finally.
somebody. Full circle.
but yeah, so then they go off and they end up on some world, and like they're like, "That's the guy that we were here to meet, and he's being taken in a weird scorpion thing, and I guess we got to go find a contact." And they go into the bar, and like they're like whispering for like 10 minutes, like an actual 10 minutes of film time. They're like whispering, and then they get into the bar, and one thing happens. Like the farmer man's about to be sexually assaulted by a weird alien, right? Because that's like a theme in this movie. The weird alien's
Zack
like,
Snyder
I'm
loves rape.
gonna F you so hard. And then she's like, "You're not gonna do anything." And then she's like, "We're looking for blah, 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 blah. Anybody know where this is?" I'm like, you just were whispering for 10 minutes. Like, what was the point of that if you're just gonna yell to all of these people, like, on a whim, "Where's whatever, whatever?" And then Charlie Hunnam shows up. And he's like, "I know where stuff is." And it's like, fucking A. I like Charlie Hunnam, but this character sucks. Like...
Yeah. Oh my god,
like,
he's
Charlie
the worst.
Hunnam couldn't even save this film, and he's great in it. Like, I honestly believe he did everything he could with every line he was given, and it still sucks. And like,
Yeah.
and then they start their journey of going to find people. Where do they go next? Oh, let's go find Native American guy. Where is he? Oh, he's an indentured servant to some super racist farmer guy. Like, and then the farmer guy's like, they're like, all right, how much for him? And he's like, I can't give you a price on it, but I love gambling. I love gambling. And you're like,
yeah, that's
fuck.
the dumbest shit in the world.
Yeah, and then she's like, what are we gambling? And he's like, well, if he doesn't tame this griffin, you're all servants.
Just kill him.
Yeah, just shoot him. Because then what happens
Also,
at the end of that scene anyway?
He dies.
Thank you.
And the griffin goes nowhere. Okay, I brought this up real
pointless.
quick because we mentioned the sexual assault, and I really wanted to bring this up because this is fucking atrocious to say as a person. This is a quote from Zack Snyder back in 2008. Okay. This is a real fucking interview. Okay. He says, he said, Batman's dark. And I'm like, okay, no, Batman's cool. He gets to go to a Tibetan monastery and be trained by ninjas. I want to do that. But he doesn't, like, get raped in prison. That could happen in my movie. If you want to talk about dark, that's how I would go.
Wow.
What? Dude, that just shows, like...
That's where his
I'm going to go on I'm going to go on a 30-second quick tangent. The reason why Zack Snyder is a terrible comic book movie director is because he doesn't understand comic book characters. Yes. Batman does not get raped in prison. Superman is not an emotionless murderer. And if Superman had the ability to snap Zod's neck, he could have just redirected the lasers. I'm done. Zack Snyder sucks. Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, fucking trash.
Agreed.
Anyways, Rebel Moon.
Okay. So, So we got this pointless, stupid Griffin gambling scene, and it's all just so they can play the Enya music and show the Native American guy riding around on the Griffin.
That is a cool shot when he jumps.
I was gonna say, cool scene, right? Yeah. Let's give it credit where credit's due. Cool scene.
Looks good,
but pointless to the overall plot.
You know what it looks like though?
It did not rope me in or make me feel developed at all. I was not into these characters.
But you know what the thing is about that scene though? It's a ripoff of two other scenes. It's a ripoff of the Avatar scene where he trains his thing, and it's a ripoff, less known movie, but John Carpenter from Mars, similar scene.
There's no, I honestly, I don't think that there's I would be.
There's not an original idea in this.
I would be hard pressed to find an original, like a truly unique idea or scene in this film.
Wait, there is one. There is one. What? When the movie ends. Original credits. Those are new credits.
I guess
it's original.
So. I mean, anyway. So then who's the person they get next? Asian lady?
She fights the spider played by Jenna Malone, who is a fantastic actress, completely wasted in this movie.
Oh, totally. And the spider lady, and here's the thing, the dialogue
she has a point
that's supposed to be getting us roped in comes out of nowhere. Like they're on this planet and it's like, okay, there's a bunch of smokestacks and they're like, I love how it just hard cuts to them in the elevator with the Asian lady, but here's why I love that hard cut, because Charlie Hunnam is in frame directly behind her left shoulder, smiling. It's just so I started cackling. I was like, of course this is what I like about this stupid hard cut, because it's a bad technique. They just hard cut. It's like, we're here now and there's an Asian lady. It's like, what the you didn't even they didn't preface anything. They didn't tie these threads together. It was just like, and then this, and then this, and then this,
and you mentioned
and then this.
At the top, you mentioned the 3.5 hour director's cut that's going to come out. So here's the defense that I've been seeing specifically on TikTok. Because I'm on movie TikTok. I like to look at reviews, and everybody that talks about Rebel Moon that is negative, people are commenting, and this is hilarious. So brace yourself. Well, you don't get it. Zack Snyder has studio interference with his movies that he makes, and that's why his visions have to be blown out to 4 hours, because the studio interferes, so he has to make it his own way and make a director's cut. And here's the thing. I'm just going to say this right now as, wrong, and here's why. Every studio does interference to directors. Yeah. Unless, and
it's
there are
called
exceptions.
Being a producer or an executive producer, you're literally putting your money into the thing.
And here's the thing, though.
You're allowed to have some input.
Oh, exactly. And some directors can get away with having no studio interference. Yes. Christopher Nolan, others. I don't want to say your name, but
others.
The problem with Zack Snyder and being like, oh, well, he had studio interference. Let's take a step back for a minute. Netflix approached him
Yeah.
and gave him creative control.
Oh, he has minimal
Netflix didn't interfere with
interference
this.
on this.
The only studio interference Netflix had on this was they were like, "Hey, we want to release a condensed version of this, and then later on, after part 2 comes out, release your director's cuts." And that's fucking stupid. Because on Netflix's part, because Netflix should just release the full vision.
Yeah.
If this is a streaming movie, who cares if it's 4 hours long? Who cares?
Just make it a miniseries. Break it up into 3 episodes per part,
Dude,
right? Like
the studio
break
interference
the
thing,
acts up into episodes. Anyway, whatever. The sequencing, the pacing, everything's all wrong here. And we know that it's wrong, and we can objectively say that it's wrong because as consumers of popular culture and media, we see what goes right and wrong. We get to see both of those. We have that luxury. We live in the first world, and we consume a lot of this, right? And as two people who have consumed a lot of it and who actually care about it a lot and the art side of it, not only the art, but like the execution, like I think it's okay to objectively look at a movie like this and just go, yeah, this was bad. And also subjectively, I think it's bad. I think objectively there are things that are bad about this, and I think subjectively it's just bad.
Agreed. And I think I might get blasted high and watch the director cut, but I think that's the only way I could do it.
We'll have to do it together. I'll hold your hand. And so
yeah.
well okay, so going back into this, so we got Spider Lady who actually like kind of has like she has a plot, but it only comes out in the exposition that she's like spouting out in between fighting the
People
Asian
stole
lady,
my kids.
which only serves the purpose of the Asian lady like kind of having like a meaningful moment when she kills her and then goes, "There's no honor in this," and it's like, fuck off, Zack Snyder.
Dude,
like
also, why didn't somebody just shoot the spider while she was fighting with her
everybody's
sword?
just watching.
Go, bang, 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 bang.
Everybody's just watching. Anyway,
dude,
it's
there's
so
a lot
dumb.
of that.
It's so
there
dumb.
is a, have you?
Yeah,
I
because they got to
remember
show the person do the cool thing, right?
The final fight where Charlie Hunnam betrays everybody, there are so many scenes where the good guys are like escaping the scorpion things, and there's just bad guys just going, "Oh, okay,
oh, what?
I'll wait to shoot you."
How dare
I
they?
hate in movies
when,
and having recently watched 10 Fast and the Furious movies, there's only one of those movies where the fight scenes feel like they're flowing.
Yeah.
A lot of fight scenes in movies that I've seen lately just are like people like, "Oh, my turn now? All right. Oh, I'm out." You know what I mean? Like they just wait to get punched, and it's like, and I'm sorry. I think Zack Snyder's action, when it's not like chaos, it's very poorly blocked, in my opinion.
I agree, and also at this point in the movie, we were already up to like 4 minutes of slow motion. And I remember texting you throughout the movie because you're like, "There's not as much as there was in Justice League," and I'm like, "That's not saying much." Like,
I was joking. I thought there was more than Justice League.
Oh my, it's so bad. Like it's like
it's unnecessary.
Well, and it constantly 300. You have these really amazing slow motion shots that help make the movie better and feel more in depth, because really, what is it? It's a battle about like containing. It's a movie about a battle where the good guys are containing the enemy up to a certain point, right? And they're containing them at what are called the hot gates. And so, yeah, you have to do more of that. You really have to, and that's what it is. It's a story about a battle. You have to romanticize it, right? This is not a story about just a battle. This is supposed to be a fleshed out, lived in universe with flowing, complex components, and it just doesn't have that. It ends up being like some weird sci-fi attempt at 300 Warhammer magnificent
300. Like, I think 300 slow-mo works because it's to my recollection,
because it's
that was one of the and also it's like one of the first movies that really used a lot of slow-mo well.
Yes.
And then obviously Zack Snyder is known for that, but like honestly his slow-mo shots in this movie feel legitimately, and this is a common criticism of Zack Snyder, it feels like a film student that was like, "This is gonna be so fucking cool."
Yes, agreed.
And it's not. Like, I'm not saying slow-mo is not cool, because there are a couple slow-mo shots that I actually like in this.
Yeah.
But there are some where it's just like somebody turning around like really slowly, and I'm like, okay.
So dumb.
Or like sliding, and I'm like, okay.
Well, and that's how I felt that entire scene with the Amazonians in his Justice League director's cut. Like, I remember that was the scene that I dropped out on. Like, I texted you and I was like, I can't. This was 10 minutes of slow-mo for nothing.
Yeah.
Like, so bad.
I want someone to cut the Zack Snyder's movies, specifically the Justice League one, and cut out, like, speed up the slow-mo to normal speed.
Well, I mean, the joke in my mind is that like this movie was only cut down because there was that much more slow mo that they cut out of it. I don't know, like
Maybe.
But, so they get the Asian lady on their team, whatever. She just like everybody's just like agreeing to go with them, like semi reluctantly, but not that hard, right? Like nothing seems that hard. They're like, we're getting the team together, and here it goes, and then. They finally, like, they go get Titus, who's, like, in a coliseum or whatever. So it's like, oh, yeah, we're going to see the fight. Here's the fight.
No fight.
Yeah, whatever. And then they just talk to him. There's some backstory dumb shit. And they show, like, her backstory. And she's finally like, there was this general, and he came to me in a battle, and he made me put a gun to his head when I was a child, and I pulled the trigger.
Yeah, he killed everybody but me.
Yeah, and I pulled the trigger, and it didn't kill him, and that's why he adopted me. And it was like, what?
So he killed everybody else that tried to kill him, but because your gun didn't fire, he was like, I'm going to raise you.
He handed her his gun, and then she went to pull the trigger, and he's like, you're my daughter now.
See, here's the thing. When you're going to make it where a child gets, like, kidnapped and becomes a warrior, that child, and I'm not good with kids' ages, but she looked well old enough that if somebody kidnapped her after murdering her family, she wouldn't just forget.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
yes.
I don't like why unless because there's no
so dumb.
There's not like they're not like, oh, we took her back to the palace and we hooked her up to a machine and we wiped her memories and flooded them with like like there's nothing like that. It's just oh, I raised her to be a killer and she was totally fine with it.
Yeah.
There is one thing that I do think was a cool inclusion that I mean it didn't matter. But when she's at the Militarium Academium or whatever it's fucking called.
The Schola Progenium, you mean? From Warhammer? No.
What did they call it in this one though?
It's like the Militarum. It's so fucking dumb.
God, that's so stupid.
Yeah. You could just say Military Academy at this point.
Yeah, there was a line where she was like, we were encouraged to find somebody to love because then we would protect them with our life.
What a throwaway.
And I was like, wow, that's okay. So like, where is this? Oh, nowhere? It's not going anywhere?
Yeah, and then
because that's a cool idea, but okay.
Cut to the next scene and it's a battle where the person that she loved dies.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, just immediately. Nothing else. No name. Nothing crazy. Just he's dead. Like, oh yeah, I loved a guy and he died.
Cool.
Yep.
And then she was the princess's protector, which is this is why I think she's wanted. I think she either murdered the king and queen and the daughter, or she was framed for it. But like, either of those is stupid in my opinion.
Whatever it doesn't matter. It's so dumb. And then she's like, I began to believe in miracles and things that I couldn't explain. And the girl like brings a bird back to life, and it's like, At this point, I was just like groaning at the film. I was like, this is so bad.
And then also the robot at the end is just there.
No, you know what was honestly the robot at the end, I was like, is this the next Uncharted? Like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's just the robot's just walking around with like antlers on and a gun now. And I honestly, Odie, there are two movies that could have been made out of this movie that would have been way better. One, the backstory of Rebel character, whatever her name is. Two, the robot and the little girl on the farm planet. Like either one of those, I would have been like, you know what? Not bad. Like,
so like, I'm not saying I could do that, and I'm not saying I can write a movie better than Zack Snyder. But at the same time,
you know what?
I think I could.
No, you know what?
You're right.
I am.
All right.
Because I'm not going to say what kind of movie, but I guarantee I could write something more compelling than this bullshit. Give me the time and budget he had, and I will show you.
So that's where my problem comes in, right? Like, I watched some bad movies this year, like Expendables 4 and Transformers, whatever. But like, and those movies had budgets and they had actors and everything, like, named actors. And like, those movies were just like nothing. Like, they just kind of felt like a cash grab, and like, they were bad, but like, don't stand out. The problem with Rebel Moon is it's Zack Snyder, who's a well-acclaimed director. It's an incredible cast. It's got a huge budget. It's Netflix behind it. This should have been something, but it's nothing.
Yep.
It's literally nothing. Yep. And I honestly would the easiest. I'm not going to fix his movie, but like, I would have made it where she goes and gets all these people to help, and when she comes back to the village, nothing else, just comes back to the village. The Nazis are there waiting, kidnap her, and then the little girl and the robot have to go on their own. Like, the robot takes the little girl because he's like, oh, you remind me of the princess, and the robot and her go on like an adventure.
Let's go. Yeah.
To like help them or something. Like, why are there so many people that we meet in Zack Snyder's movies that go nowhere? And like
Yeah.
people might be like, well, these are new original characters, but like in Batman v Superman, Jimmy Olsen, who is Superman's best fucking friend,
Yeah.
we don't even get his name. He gets shot in the head by terrorists in the first 10 minutes of that movie.
So dumb.
He does not understand characters. He
No.
does not understand dialogue.
Yep.
And he honestly doesn't understand how to write a cohesive plot. He only
No.
understands visuals.
Yeah.
And Zack Snyder should really just be a cinematographer.
I mean, after watching the shitty like color themes and the incoherent like switch in lenses and whatever the fuck else was going on here, because like visually I was just like, what the fuck is going on with this?
Do you know Roger Deakins?
No.
The name? He's a really, really famous cinematographer from
Okay.
like 60s, 70s, 80s. And
Yeah.
Roger Deakins has a video where he talks about, he's being interviewed, but he talks about the lenses that you use on cameras, like
Yeah.
film, whatever you're using.
Yeah.
And anytime I see a movie where the cinematographer uses lenses that just do not match like
Yeah.
what they're going for, it drives me crazy. And
Yeah.
Zack Snyder,
Does that?
did you notice that in a lot of part of this movie, it was vignette?
Oh yeah, it's so
And
bad.
I'm not kidding. That was, I wanted to like download the movie and then crop it because that vignette was pissing me off.
Yeah, I did not like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so finishing the plot up, they finally they meet up with the Blood Axes. These are the last people they need to recruit to their cause. Favorite character in the
Zero
movie
confessing.
is there for just a little bit. It's Blood Axe Queen. I absolutely loved her. Her character design was great. I was like, holy shit, she's actually compelling. She's saying interesting things, and then she just leaves.
Leaves the movie.
Just leaves. And like when I texted you, I was like, oh, I actually could get down with this character. This is cool. Yeah. Not only that, she's hot. Like I was like, ooh, wow. This is an attractive actress. 2, I like the way she's playing this character. 3, I like the character design. 4, she has an interesting tie to like meaning and the plot. And I was like, and then she's just like, see you later, brother. And I was like, what?
So clearly they're setting her. They're setting her up because as soon as they
then
meet,
in the second one, she's gonna be back, and she's
yeah,
gonna be
because
like,
they killed
"I'm
the
here to
brother.
avenge
The
my
brother died.
Yeah,
But like, okay, this is
Just
where I'm
dumb.
like, Zack Snyder, why did you do this? Like,
Yeah.
why did you cast? Oh my God, what's his name that plays Blood Axe? He was a theater actor.
I don't
Not Ray Stevenson. Doesn't
I don't
matter.
know.
The guy that plays Blood Axe, basically kind of got blacklisted for defending Zack Snyder during the whole Justice League stuff.
Huh.
And like, yeah, like, I don't know.
So then
like,
he cast him. He was like,
and he
"You're
cast-
uncanceled, and you're in my."
yeah, but he
movie."
cast him in this movie, and I was like, okay, cool, because like he's Ray Fisher. He's a great actor, and I was like, I really like him as Cyborg. Like,
Yeah.
I think he's really compelling, and I was like, I'm excited to see him, and he's dead.
Yep.
Cool. We got 2 scenes with this man. They show up
Yep.
on the Rebel planet. They're like, hey, we need to defeat this gigantic, undefeatable ship, and you guys are the only ones that can help us. And they're like, we can't defeat the ship. And then
Yep.
they're like, well, I guess we'll help you defeat the ship. And then
Yeah.
they go to this planet where Charlie Hunnam betrays them, and then he just like
He's like,
sacrifices
"Ah."
himself by
He-
killing the guy that's on a turret. And it's like,
He was like, "I helped you collect everybody because you all have bounties out on your heads, and now the money's mine. That's all I care about, baby." And I was like, "Wow, nobody saw that coming."
I'm all about making a character have a twist, but
Yeah.
like
That's such a bad twist.
the problem with the twist is
I
it's
feel like he was like Han Solo but evil.
well, like the thing is about a twist, right? In my opinion, to write a character that's going to turn out to be evil or turn out to be good, and they were evil, is you got to show elements of that side of them.
Of both.
If you just show us Charlie Hunnam's character being nothing but good, and then
Yeah.
a forced scene where he's like, "Well, I guess I'm one of the good guys now." It's like, okay, but then when he all of a sudden is like, "Well, I'm actually evil," it's like, but you didn't.
Yeah.
Like I'm okay, yeah. Like I'm surprised because I thought he was good, but I'm also like, okay,
As-
but like I don't care.
As soon as he said, "Stop making me want to be an honorable man," I
Oh
was like,
my
"Oh, he's gonna
God.
betray her." Got it.
Yeah. I was
Got
like,
it.
could you put this any
Mhm.
more in front of us?
Yeah,
And-
and it was like 2 minutes before he betrays them.
And
So
it's
then, like, 2
it's
minutes later,
literally
he's
the
like-
scene
He's
before.
like, "It was all about me the whole time, baby." And I was like, "Oh,
And then
yeah, all right."
he gets the dumbest death where the farmer guy, because these scorpion machines, the
Yeah,
way
yeah,
they
yeah.
work is they
Yeah.
hold you, and then there's a little gun that you hook into the neck part, and it shoots a a thing through
Like a
your spinal
spike or
cord,
something.
and
I don't know.
it kills you. But like,
It's so unnecessary.
yeah, it's very
Here's
unnecessary.
the scorpion thing so we can shoot you in the neck.
But like, the guy does it to Charlie Hunnam, and he's just like,
Yeah.
it's so quick. Like, I didn't even realize he died. Like,
Ugh,
he had
so-
the gun. I
so
saw it on his
bad.
neck, and then I was like, oh, is Charlie Hunnam dead? Oh, I guess
Yeah.
I guess he's dead.
Yeah.
Ugh.
This so overall, I think what's really great is the end of the year we got the worst movie of the year out of the way. We did, and I feel good about that. I'm actually glad that we watched it because now I have a low bar. Like City of
Ooh.
Bones, Rebel Moon, like these movies are my low bar for sure. Oh my God, A Winter's Tale. Did you ever see A Winter's Tale?
No.
Oh, you need to.
That's
It's
the one
so
with
bad.
doesn't it's like
Colin Farrell.
Isn't Will Smith like the devil at the end of it
Yes.
or something? Yeah.
Yes,
I know about
he's
that one.
Lucifer. It's so bad, and
I've
so,
heard.
like, and I remember like, so I went to go see. Oh, when it came out, I forget who I was dating, but like I went to go see it with my girlfriend because I was like, oh, it's a romantic tale. You like romance movies. Let's go see this movie. We both left and we're like, wow, that was bad. Like, both of us were just because like the end of the movie, it was just like this movie. Like the end of the movie, I was like, what was all that for? Like,
I mean, I'm gonna say this to wrap up my thoughts on Rebel Moon
wrap it
because
up,
I honestly could talk about this forever because it's just
I
so
know,
bad.
me too, because it's so bad.
Yeah, I just didn't like it, and like and if anybody messages me and is like, well, you didn't get it. No, you didn't get it. I'm sorry. I got it.
Well, okay, I already put it on the table. People can defend this movie all they want. It's not going to change my opinion, right? And I do feel like I got it. I feel like I got what there was to get out of this film. And it was a couple good scenes where I honestly was like, wow, that was a good one, right? But it's only a few, like it's a couple. It's not many. It's like less than a handful, right? Like where I was like, wow, this was actually good. I'm enjoying this part right here. And that's because I was being objective the whole time and not subjective. I wasn't saying I don't like this. I was saying, wow, this is like not that good. Like,
I think
which
with
is
this
very
movie,
different,
Oh yeah, I
Like,
mean, I think this movie is missing action.
Yes.
I just realized that.
I don't think it's missing action. I think the action needs to be sped up and believable and have stakes and meaning behind it.
I'm thinking about it. Okay, so there's the scene where she kills the guys in the barn.
Yeah.
There's the scene in the bar.
Yep. Then the Griffin.
I wouldn't call that an action scene.
That's an action scene. That's an action adventure scene.
Okay, let me change this. Let me change my verbiage here.
Guy.
There needs to be more fight scenes.
Yeah, I mean there was not a lot of fighting in this film. There was a lot of like we're getting the team together. Yeah.
Barn, bar, and then there's the final battle where they get betrayed.
Yeah, and to be 100% clear, I think there are elements of this film that constitute a different, better version of this film. Like, I don't think it's bad and like unsavable, right? Like, I don't think it's something that can't be corrected. I don't think it's. I think there was just a failing. Like there was a failing that occurred, and it continued to occur, and this is what we got out of it.
I think that the way to fix this, I think you're right. I think that all this movie needs is the scenes in between the scenes we saw to
100%.
see character development,
Yes.
plot development. But like
Yes.
at the same time, I say that, and then I'm like, well, there is still that scene where she's just like, I'm gonna tell you who I am.
Oh,
That's so you know who I am.
That's the worst kind of character development. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm going to tell you this story so that the audience understands the point going forward, not for you.
Yep. That was my
It's
my
for
point.
the
Like
audience.
the only two ways you learn about characters is either them just dumping exposition on you, which feels out of place and forced, or
Yep.
other characters telling you how other characters are, so you like
Which is
them,
just
but-
exposition.
Yeah. So overall,
Yeah.
I mean,
bad.
we went over our movies that we saw this year, and I was thinking really hard about it, and I wanted to make sure that out of all the new movies I saw this year, I could definitively say that I think Rebel Moon not only pissed me off the most, but it, in my opinion, was the most. It was the least enjoyable to watch, which makes it the worst. Because
I agree.
here's the
Merry
thing,
Christmas.
and I just want to say this: like, I watched Expend4bles, and bad movie, but
yeah.
honestly, the fight scenes, the action in that movie, like if you take out the plot and you just watch the action scenes, I enjoyed it. Like Jason Statham is on a ship with a motorcycle, driving around, blowing people up and shooting
Yeah.
people and doing hand-to-hand combat, and Tony Jaa's there, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And like I was having fun, and then they started talking, and I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm on my phone. But like,
So
yeah,
so my palate cleanser for this film what is but was that I was rewatching Andor
again,
this entire past week, right?
oh
And
yeah,
it was just so like, and that gave me that, very luckily, because I knew that you like, you know, you and I had talked about watching this, and you and I talked about like being very honest and like really digging into it, because it's a big film. Like it's a unique thing that happened. Netflix went to Zack Snyder. They were like, hey, you know, we're going to help you make your Star Wars with blackjack and hookers. And he was like, great. And they gave him the budget and carte blanche, and he got to pick the actors and all this stuff. He's the director of photography. Like, there was so much that went into this that makes it a unique viewing experience regardless of the quality. And then on the flip side of that, you have Andor, right? And Andor, if you look at the executive producers in the credits, Diego Luna is one of them, right? So like you have something that, but I don't think that this was Diego Luna doing a vanity project. I think they got Diego Luna to invest as an executive producer because the story was good. Thank you, Mr. Gilroy.
I know about that.
Good job on that, right?
So-
like, because the Andor story, real quick, just let me, like, the Andor story is cohesive. And the world, even when not that much is happening, is still living, breathing, functioning. You feel like you're there. You're immersed in it. They're not just explaining things to you. The things are happening, and you're going, wow, I wonder what that's about. But then you figure it out as time goes on, and not just because some character says what it is, but because they're all acting in accordance. Like, and everything makes sense, and everything has meaning, and every single thing that happens in that show, I'm like, wow, the whole time I watch it, I was just like, this is so good.
It's so good.
It's so good. The whole time I'm watching, I'm just like giddy. I'm really enjoying. It's like brain candy.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, like. Anyway,
And
all right.
So speaking of the executive producers, just because, so you're right, because you've got so usually it's because an actor loves a character so much that they want to keep investing into it, and I can go
C. Hall and Dexter.
Yeah, so like
Vin Diesel in the Fast and Furious.
So you actually just took the example right out of my mouth, because this goes one of two ways, right? Like
Yeah.
it either goes the way where you get somebody who truly loves the character, like you could go Keanu Reeves and John Wick, you could go, you could go Diego Luna and Cassie Andor, you could go Mark Hamill and Luke Skywalker. Like he was verbally upset about how he was handled in the new sequel trilogy, but and so they become executive producers because it gives them some creative control with that character, and in some cases it can give them rights to that character, like Warren Beatty and Dick Tracy, you know. Like, that can go a good way, or you get people like Vin Diesel, who, and I want to throw this out there because I've been watching Fast and the Furious, blow my brains out, but he shows up at the...
Hold on. You haven't just been watching the Fast and the Furious. How many Fast and the Furious movies have you watched in the past 72 hours?
10.
Yeah. Okay. You haven't just been watching the Fast and the Furious, my friend. Don't glaze over the fact that you have absorbed all of the Fast and the Furious in the past 3 days. I know you are.
Yeah, I'm making a big video.
I wanted to make sure that we put that out there very clearly. This wasn't just you over time picking these out. This is you very intentionally going back through and watching them. Keep going.
So in 3, Tokyo Drift, which is one of the worst. And I'm just gonna say this here because people are gonna fight me on this.
The only one I've rewatched.
So here's the thing. I'm going to say this real quick. Watch that movie again if you defend it, and keep in mind the entire time that the main character and the love interest are 17 and everybody else is in their mid to late 20s. And on top of that, the legal age in Japan at the time of recording was 20. And these 17-year-olds are street racing, involved in gang violence. And there's like a 29-year-old who's in love with a 17-year-old. It's fucking weird. So Vin Diesel shows up at the end of that movie to race the main character because he wasn't in the second. And the only reason he did that was because if he showed up, he got the rights, not to Fast and Furious, to Riddick. And that's why he was able to make Riddick movies.
And now we're getting another Riddick movie.
When Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift came out in 2006, they decided that with Vin Diesel coming back to the franchise, that was their time to reinvest and do Fast and Furious, which was the 4th one. And because he did that one and had the rights to Riddick, and that one did well, he was able to negotiate for the rights of Fast and Furious. And that's why from Fast 5 on, it truly feels like a Vin Diesel vanity project. And
because it is.
And one step further, Paul Walker, pedophile, just going to throw that out there.
Okay.
He was dating. He met his girlfriend before he died.
I think you've said that to me before. I just don't delve into it.
She was 16 and he was 36 when they met.
All right. I think because I have no stake in him.
Yeah, I don't either. Not anymore.
Or an actor. I'm just like, all right.
So Paul Walker, according to behind the scenes, was like kind of the reason that Vin Diesel stayed kind of reined in. And then once Paul Walker passed, basically it became Vin Diesel's franchise. And you see that with 8, 9, and 10, that like it is just him. And I really, really don't like when actors get the rights to franchises that could be good and then they make them awful.
Yeah.
Anyways, so my jam is 10 Fast and Furious movies.
No, is it?
No. I watched
Goddamn.
Princess Mononoke.
Yeah.
And that was my palate cleanser.
Finally.
So, yeah, I literally, I'm not joking. I watched the first 4 Fast and Furious movies, and I watched them in chronological order, so not the order they came out, the order of the timeline of Fast and Furious. So I watched 1, 2, 4, 5 in one day, and then I watched 6, Tokyo Drift 7 in one day, and then I watched 8, 9, 10, and I got done watching 9 and 10. And each time I was done watching them, I'm not kidding, I felt this wave of depression where I was just like, oh my God, like I feel so empty and aimless and like life is meaning. Like I legitimately felt depressed.
You're throwing it all on the line for content this year.
I really am. But Princess Mononoke made me feel great.
Doesn't it though?
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's the best. Big recommend on that.
Billy Crudup doing the voice of the main character. You got Billy Bob Thornton. Like it's
so good.
Keith David is in it too, which was really nice. And I
forgot about that.
I think this probably might compete for my favorite Studio Ghibli film. My favorite right now is Spirited Away, and that's oh my God, such a good movie.
I mean, you just named the 2 best.
Yeah,
ones.
As somebody who is worked for an environmental company and is huge on environmentalism and like really hates the destruction of the rainforest, and like I was watching this and I was like, I would love more than anything to go to the rainforest with a machine gun and just shoot these people.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Dude.
Yeah. No, it has a really good environmental.
Honestly,
message.
this movie
I
love
how much it leans into that.
It kind of made me mad at times where I was like, the main character is so well written and so good that like he's nice to people, and I'm like, why are you being nice to them? Fucking killer.
It's also it's also kind of like the most mature Studio Ghibli film.
It has
like
violence.
In my opinion, like for like looking at all of them, this is kind of the one that like I would say leans the most into like young adult into adulthood, you know?
Also, it's the first one that I actually saw like people getting like their arm like getting ripped off, like heads are getting ripped off, and like it's not bloody and gory, but like when I saw that, I was like,
haven't really done much of that since. Although once again the violence in The Boy and the Heron is pretty prevalent.
So then it's gonna catch me off guard because I literally like I saw the violence in this and I was like, whoa, what the
You're
fuck?
like, whoa, there's blood.
Yeah. But that's mine.
They normally don't do that.
Yeah.
That's cool. My jam this week is Jujutsu Kaisen because I just watched Metamorphosis 2, which was like, what a fucking phenomenal episode. And like, you know, sometimes you and I've talked about this. The pacing on that show is a little bit weird and a little fast. Like it feels like it could benefit from going a tiny bit slower and giving us just a little bit more. But I've always felt that like if my one complaint. Not even complaint, but if the one thing that I want from a show is more, that's a good thing.
Oh yeah,
right. Like that. If I walked away from something wanting more of it in any form, but still like being like, wow, that was good and meaningful, and I enjoyed it, and it was fulfilling, like success. You know, like you're just succeeding. And Jujutsu Kaisen, I love the way that the story is developed. I love that like there are times where the story does slow down for an episode. And then all of a sudden, like, it's just back up to breakneck speed because it really is. It's just breakneck speed. Like, it just constantly goes.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that. This most recent episode, they've got that character Ghetto, and when they did like the big reveal for Ghetto.
Gato.
Yeah, the bad guy. Yeah, for Geto.
You
when
call
they-
him ghetto. I was like, he's not ghetto. He's ghetto.
Ghetto, yeah, Ghetto, Gato, like whatever. So when they did his big reveal,
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit! Like it was a good moment because like it came out of nowhere, but as they were going through it and showing the different characters reacting to it, it gave me all of the context I needed without just being an exposition dump.
Oh yeah.
And that to me was so like I was like, wow, that could have been so bad. But instead, I walked away from it going, wow, I did not think that's where this was going. And like, yeah, just so good.
So
so good.
I'm current on the manga with JJK because JJK and My Hero are they're probably my two favorite modern anime adaptations. And I say modern because I mean, yeah, they've been on like My Hero.
And you're talking manga to anime.
Yeah,
adaptation.
And there's a lot of anime I love, but I think these are two of like the big hitters that I'm just a big fan of. So I read the manga as well as watching the anime, and I cannot wait for more JJK seasons. And the fandom that doesn't know the manga, like it only mild spoiler from here on out, it only gets way, way fucking worse for everybody.
Hell yeah.
And I love it.
that.
I'm a big fan of it.
That's what I like because like it seems like they're not dialing it back.
No,
ever.
they don't. They don't.
Yeah, and that's great.
It's awesome.
And then the other thing I would add on to that is I saw the trailer, like it's just a little teaser trailer for the Rize movie for Chainsaw Man, and I was like, oh, cool.
So I need to.
I know you don't like Chainsaw Man.
Well, I have a problem
but
with
it looks
like,
good.
rapey elements in anime, and like Chainsaw Man just had a lot of that from the episodes that I saw.
There are certain things, we can talk about this more in a different episode, but there are certain things in anime that, like when it happens, like I'm kind of like, that's not for me. But that happens even with like live action things over here. So like there are certain things like, you're talking about the main character's like relationship with what's her name, the devil hunter who gets drunk. Like that's weird, and like some of that stuff is weird, but like I'm just like, I grew up watching like American Pie and shit. I'm pretty sure I can table my judgment for a second, because the rest of this is so good that I'm enjoying it.
It just takes me out of it. It's not that I'm like, this is gross. It's just like for me, I'm just like, okay.
Well, and we're talking about like Zack Snyder just having so much sexual assault in this
it's disgusting.
most recent film, right? And kind of being focused on that, and also last thing, you know what? This is what we can end on here. This movie, Rebel Moon, just confirmed for me that Zack Snyder watches hentai. Because as someone who has been immersed in anime culture since I was like, I don't know, fucking 8, right? Like Dragon Ball was on. I was watching Robotech at like 9 or 10, right? I was watching Akira, Vampire Hunter D, Tank Police, like all of these banger animes back in the day. They used to have Japanimation block on Sci-Fi Channel at 4 a.m, which meant they could swear and they could show things that they normally wouldn't show. And like I just got to watch this. It was this amazing new world had opened up to me. And then of course one friend came up to me eventually in like my teens and was like, yeah, have you heard of hentai? And I was like, what the fuck is that? And like he was like, check it out. Right? So you go through that period of your life and you learn that everything can turn into porn. And this movie specifically showed me that Zack Snyder not only has consumed some form of hentai, but is down with it because what's his name? What's the actor's name? The villain from Deadpool?
Ed Skrein?
Ed Skrein.
Yeah.
Ed Skrein. He is a robot. An android, and he has a tentacle sex android thing.
Makes
that
sense.
is all about him.
Tracks.
And he loves it.
Yep.
And
he's alive.
Zack Snyder wrote that and then directed the visuals around it. And all that scene because I remember texting you, I was like, Zack Snyder watches hentai. Confirmed. Because anybody who knows about, has seen, or hears jokes about hentai knows that is a whole genre. The tentacle land is a genre, baby. And Zack Snyder is trying to put it in his live. I hope, you know what? I hope that just for the sake of the laughs, I hope Rebel Moon Part 2, whatever. Also, we never even touched on the fucking Child of Fire is not even a big part of Part 1. So fuck off. I hate your title. But, like, I hope that weird sex octopus gets a big role in Part 2.
Oh, I hope so too. I hope we see more of that.
That's what I want.
I want to see more of it.
I want Rebel Moon 2 sex octopus. That's what I want.
Oh my god. I want to see that.
I want the whole. They're like, we gotta go get this thing. Where is it? It's in the octopus.
It's in the octopus.
It's in the octopus. It's been there the whole time. That's why I had it.
Oh my god.
Fucking god. Yeah, I'm done.